Hello everyone, back tuning into the 8th Winter 2020-21 Update Part 1. So here we go again, it's Sunday, and yes, we've got yet another winter update for you. Last week we passed the halfway point on the winter updates with the epic 7th winter update that really set the caterpillar and pigeons, the solar special. And what about those analogues that we showed you in Part 2? The feedback that I have had on Part 2 of the 7th Winter 2020-21 update has been unbelievable. I'm going to show you a swingometer in a moment so you can see how the swingometer was moved, or if it was moved, by that 7th winter update. But certainly an epic and historic update last week. It moved us past the halfway point of winter updates, but we've still got plenty more to go. We've got 13 winter updates penciled in, so we've only just gone over the halfway point, as well as 2 more season 1 roundups as well. But we are moving towards the business end of winter updates now. You know, we are getting on with them. We're not at the end of them yet, or nearing the end of them, but we are certainly, you know, moving into the business end of winter updates. So things are going to start getting even more serious over the next few weeks. But sit back, relax, and enjoy, and I shall talk you through the 8th Winter 2020 Update Part 1 in a moment. Just say that Part 2, as usual, will be coming up tomorrow at 6 PM on Monday evening. We'll show you the analog side of this winter update, and I'll tell you later on in the video what those analogs will be as well. Right, so I'm going to say a big thank you to our good friend Richard. Big thank you to Richard Traut for the GIF and all of the other work that Richard's done on the winter update. You're going to see a swingometer, of course, in a moment from our King of Swings. So, yeah, big thank you to Richard Traut. Big thank you to James. Big thank you to James Ackroyd, and also to my good friend Ryan Brewer as well. And as we get to each section where everyone has helped me out, then I'll tell you what they've done on this update. You can please smash a like on the video, that'd be absolutely fantastic. Let YouTube know that you're enjoying it. Let us know in the comments what you think. Make sure to subscribe to the GavsWeatherVids YouTube channel, and it's absolutely fantastic if you can do that. It's going to be quite a long video as usual with the winter updates, so we'll place on winter updates page. Hopefully this evening, if not this evening, it'll be tomorrow morning with written summary, just going over everything that we discuss in the video, and I should get that on winter updates page. I say hopefully tomorrow, this evening. If not this evening, it'll be tomorrow morning. Busy day coming up at GavsWeatherVids today. We've got the ECODF, Metro France, DWD, and JMA seasonal model update coming up around 3 this afternoon. Before that, about an hour before that at 2, I think we're going to have the written update for Christmas, the 4th and final written update for Christmas. And then at 6 o'clock, we'll be live stream. We'll discuss this winter update. I'm quite sure we will. And there'll be winter data in that, almost certainly, from CFSV2. Right, so I think that's everything that I've got to tell you. Let's get on with the 8th Winter 2020-21 Update Part 1, shall we? And as I say, we're going to begin with the swingometer sent through by our King of Swing, Richard Traut. So here it is. This is the swingometer up to the end of last week's 7th Winter 2020-21 update. And look at this, look at this. Another significant swing from mild to cold. We have had another significant swing from mild to cold. Last week, there was a swing from mild to cold last week. There was a swing from mild to cold the week before that. So this is the 3rd successive swing from mild to cold that we have seen. But this is a big swing. So last week, the swingometer was at 50-50. With a small swing from mild to cold, but at 50-50. Now we are favouring, after 7 winter updates, a colder than average winter by 56% to 44%. Look at that, 56 to 44%. The swingometer has had a 6% swing from mild to cold. As a result, really, of last week's winter update. So this is like an amalgamation of all winter updates, remember. So this is factoring every winter update that we've seen so far, all the way back to update number 1, as well as the season 1 roundups as well. But that's a big swing from like 50-50 last week to 56-44 this week. That is a 6% swing from mild to cold. And so, yes, at the moment, winter updates are clearly favouring a colder than average winter. Wow, how exciting is that? So thank you so much to King of Swing, Richard Traut, sending that one through. And of course, you will find out at the beginning of next week's 9th winter update how this week's 8th winter update has moved the swingometer, if indeed it has. It's getting exciting, isn't it? Thank you so much to Richard for sending through the swingometer. Right, so let's move on then. We're going to start off with solar activity. So this is how the solar disk is looking on our side of the disk today from solarham.net. We have one sunspot region just here. Despite that, solar activity is at very low levels, and Solarham is reporting that solar activity is expected to remain at very low levels for the next 3 days. This is GavsWeatherVids solar activity tracker, updated by our good friend James Ackrill, up to today, the 25th of October. So we are going through a little period of slightly more active conditions on the solar disk. So the red line is depicting each individual day's worth of sunspot activity. So you can see that really since like early October, really since the start of October, we have started getting just a little bit more sunspot activity. This is still a very, very low level of solar activity. So we are now 10 months, we think, into solar cycle number 25, or 11 months perhaps in solar cycle number 25, I suppose, given that it was starting in December 2019. So for being like nearly a year into a solar cycle, that's still a very, very low level of solar activity. Nevertheless, we are now seeing signs of a little bit of activity on the solar disk, and it is enough to start lifting up our trend lines. They are the thick green and the thick red lines as well. They haven't lifted up yet as far as they did back in the summer. So we went for another little period of more active condition back in August. So they haven't lifted up quite as much as that, but nevertheless, the trend lines have lifted up a little bit. We are getting a small level of solar activity. This is the beginnings of solar cycle number 25, but it is a very, very slow start to the solar cycle. Big thank you to James Ackrill, our keeper of the solar tracker. Big thank you to James Ackrill for sending through the solar tracker, of course. Now look who it is. If it's not Gav Patine, here he is. It's Gav Patine in all his glory. Do it! Yes, indeed, Gav Patine has arrived in the winter updates. It had to happen one day, didn't it? This has been sent through by our good friend Richard Traut. Thank you so much, Rich, for sending this through. This is showing spotless days by year and the current spotless stretch as well. So we've got to pause Gav Patine while we get highlighter up. So thank you, Rich, for sending that through. Right, so the current spotless stretch is 0 days, because, of course, we have had sunspots today. For 2020 so far, we've had a total of 204 spotless days. That is 69% of the year. So 2020 has actually now fallen under 70% for spotless days. It's at 69%, comparable to 2019 with 77% of the year. So again, it just highlights that 2019 was our solar minimum year, of course. For solar cycle 25, we began, for solar cycle 24, we began solar cycle 25 at the very end of 2019, and we are now into the first year of solar cycle number 25, and at a very low level of solar activity. The last solar minimum happened in 2008. Our last solar minimum year was 2008 with 265 calendar days without sunspots, 73% of the year. 2009, first year of solar cycle 24, had 71% of the year without sunspots. So you get the idea. We're kind of in the same sort of ballpark, really, with 2020 as we were with 2009, telling us that you know, the solar cycle so far, it's early on in the solar cycle, but so far this solar cycle is performing very, very similarly to the last solar cycle, to number 24, with a slow movement from solar minimum into the new solar cycle. So, of course, we shall continue to keep an eye on that. How nice to see GavsWeatherVids showing up in the winter update saying, "Do it!" Okay, thank you, Rich, for that. Let's have a look at sea surface temperature anomalies. And you wasn't expecting GavsWeatherVids in winter updates, were you? Just never know what you're going to get in one of GavsWeatherVids winter updates. Right, let's have a look at sea surface temperature anomalies, I should say. So this is how sea surface temperature anomalies were looking last week, when we did last week's 7th winter 2020 update. We've got our 4 areas of interest. We've got the ENSO region just here, of course. Excuse me. We have got the Northern Pacific over there. We've got the Indian Ocean through here. And we've got the North Atlantic Ocean through there. As I say, that's how sea surface temperature anomalies were looking last week when we did the 7th winter 2020-21 update part 1. Let's see how they compare then. So here we go. This is how they compare. This is the very latest as of the 23rd of October. Let's deal with the ENSO region first of all. So going back to last week, 16th of October, going forwards to the 23rd of October, I think we can say we have seen a further strengthening of La Nina, these colder than average sea surface temperature anomalies in the central part of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. Anyway, over on the eastern side of the equatorial Pacific Ocean, I think we have seen a little bit more warming. And in the western part of the equatorial Pacific Ocean, western part of the ENSO region, again, I think been quite stable, but may have seen a slight cooling. So I think what we can say is happening here is that this La Nina is still strengthening, and it is becoming central and possibly western base. Certainly becoming central base, though. Certainly, you know, the coldest anomalies to average have moved into a central part of the equatorial Pacific Ocean rather than being on the eastern side of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. In a future winter update, we will be attempting to explain what what the difference is between a central base and eastern base La Nina, and what it could all mean for this winter. So if you're wondering what this could mean, then hang around for a future winter update. Going northwards into the Northern Pacific Ocean, again, that's how things were looking last week in the Northern Pacific Ocean. Remember, we're focusing primarily on that area just there in the northeastern part of the Pacific Ocean. That's how things look this week. So actually warming has taken place in the northeastern Pacific. This is a bit of worry for anyone who wants a cold winter. I'm going to put the cards on the table with this. So if you want a cold winter, you're hoping that this area will get colder. And a couple of weeks ago, there was some indication, there was some suggestions that we were starting to turn things cooler with the sea surface temperature anomalies up here. But those warmer than average sea surface temperature anomalies have fought back this week. And I think you can clearly see that generally that northeastern corner of the Pacific Ocean has warmed a little bit, I think, over the past week. We'll have a look at the 7-day change in a moment, but I think it looks like the northeastern Pacific Ocean has warmed up. And of course, that's something that we've seen very regularly since like 2014, and it tends to correspond in a ridge being around here and a trough through here, which sends the jet stream on a northwest-southeast line across the states. That on its own is not a problem. It does bring very cold air down into northern and eastern parts of America, of course. But what happens is that the cold air tends to hit the Atlantic, blow up the jet stream, then the jet stream causes masses of cyclogenesis and overcome the low pressures into the North Atlantic. So we're looking to get things cooler in that northeastern Pacific Ocean, but at the moment it looks like, if anything, it's possibly gone the other way. In the Indian Ocean, let's have a look. Remember, we're looking at this area now, so that is the Indian Ocean just there. That's how things looked last week. This is how things are looking again this week. Generally, the Indian Ocean appears to be warming up. I think the IOD, the Indian Ocean Dipole, is around neutral at the moment. We're expecting the Indian Ocean to continue to warm, I think, as we go into the winter. and eventually we will probably get a positive IOD, but it should happen late in the winter, and there's a bit of a feedback, you know, it takes 2 or 3 months transition into like a positive IOD or a negative IOD. It'll take 2 or 3 months to have an impact on the atmosphere, and so if we do get into a positive IOD, it shouldn't have any impact on our winter fate. I don't think it would be something that would affect the spring and next summer rather more, probably. If you want to know more about the IOD, check out the very first Winter 2000 and 2020 update part 1 that we did way back at the start of September, so long ago now. Then in the North Atlantic, so this is how the North Atlantic was looking last week. We see surface temperature anomalies. Let's compare, have a look and see what's going on. So things are quite stable. The tropical Atlantic is still looking pretty warm down here. We've possibly seen a little bit of cooling, around there, maybe. And then north of that, it looks like we're generally quite warm again in this sort of area. Norwegian Sea is also looking pretty warm. Generally, the Atlantic does seem to be quite warm. In a moment, we're going to go right way back to 1985 with city surface temperature anomalies and see how this year is comparing. Right, so this is the 7-day temperature change for the ocean. So this is the 7-day temperature change up to 23rd of October. Now let's deal with the northeast of the Pacific first of all. So near the coast, actually, we have seen a little bit more cooling in the northeast Pacific. However, in the deeper waters around here, we have seen quite significant warming, actually. So I mean, what's going on near the coast isn't all that impact, because that's going to be, you know, that's going to be, that will change with the weather. That's shallow waters near the coast, and if it's quite cold, you know, with a northerly wind or something, then that will cool things down very, very quickly near the coast. So these deeper waters are a little bit more concerning, I think, if you want a colder winter, because there we have seen a significant warm up over the past week. The temperature trend, temperature anomaly has changed like 1 to 2 degrees over the past week, just there. Indian Ocean is generally warming up as well. In the equatorial Pacific Ocean, the temperature change looks like that. So some areas have warmed up a little bit, particularly over here towards this eastern area. But in the central area, we have seen further cooling. So again, I think it tells us that this landing is probably becoming central-based. But this is the temperature change. These aren't sea surface temperature anomalies in their own terms. This is how sea surface temperature anomalies have changed in the past week, in the past 7 days. In the Atlantic, look at this, the tropical Atlantic is still warming, despite the fact we're coming to the end of what has been a tremendously active hurricane season, a tropical storm season. The sea surface, which would normally have a cooling effect on the ocean, of course, all those areas of low pressure, all those hurricanes churning around, taking the warmth northwards. Despite that, we are still seeing warming of the sea surface temperature anomalies in the tropical Atlantic Ocean. Quite remarkable. So things have still warmed up there through the past week. Further northwards, we have actually seen some cooling in this area just here. That's something I picked out a moment ago. So back on this view, like this area has cooled a little bit over the past week with sea surface temperature. We see that on the 7-day change. And then up to Greenland, up towards Greenland, actually there's been a bit of warming taking place to the south of Greenland. Now, let me know in the comments what you think to this. Is this looking a bit like a tripole beginning to emerge? You know, the three-way band of warm over cool over warm. Do you think that a tripole could be starting to get going through this autumn? If we start getting a tripole going as we head towards the winter, that could be a game changer for anyone who wants a cold winter. And so the 7-day temperature trend change, to me, looks like we have seen a little bit of a tripole getting going over the past week, or beginning to edge in that direction. It is a tripole yet. You can clearly see that on the anomaly chart here. This isn't a tripole yet. But if that trend was to continue, so if we was to maintain the warm sea surface temperature anomalies or warming up further through the tropics, if we was to cool things down further, and particularly if we was to warm things up around here even more, then that could start to get us towards a tripole. What do you think about that? Let me know in the comments. This is how the equatorial Pacific Ocean has changed in the second part of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. Is from tropicaltidbits.com. So we're continuing to cool things down. Look how things have changed since the summer when we was around ENSO neutral. Of course, the all important numbers is number is 0.5, half a degree below average. That is the all important number. So when you get to that, you are reaching the level of a La Nina. And we're continuing through October. And we continue to see sea surface temperature anomalies dropping, temperature anomaly dropping. So we've gone from 1 degree below average at the beginning of October to on the 24th being around or getting close to 1.5 degrees below average. So the La Nina is continuing to develop and strengthen through the central part of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. CFSV2 continues to forecast a super Nina, a super La Nina. The black dash line here is the ensemble mean, and you can see that is going down to under 2 degrees below average. That would be a very, very strong La Nina sometime around the beginning of January. That would be a very strong La Nina, one of the strongest La Ninas ever recorded. I still think CFS is overdoing it. I still think in the end, this will probably pull up at around 1.5 degrees below average, or maybe just under 1.5 degrees below average, but I struggle to see we'll go below 2 degrees below average from where we are right now. But who knows, maybe we will. CFS is still forecasting that. Southern Oscillation Index is looking like this. So the SY is an index that's reflecting the atmospheric state in the Southern Pacific Ocean. Doesn't drive anything in its own terms, just tells us what the atmosphere is doing. So at the moment, the SOI is not as positive as it was. So when the SOI is in its positive phase, then the atmospheric state is reflective of La Nina. When the SOI is in its negative phase, the atmospheric state is reflective of El Nino. So the red line here is the SY 30-day average. So around middle of October, you know, that was like plus 13. It's come down over the past week or so to around plus 7 to plus 8. So it has ease down a little bit, but these variations do, you know, it's a 30-day average, so it is prone to a little bit of change. These are our numbers. So the SY is measuring air pressures between Tahiti and Darwin, and then we have the SY number itself in this column just here. So around the 16th, 17th of October, we was negative with the SY -6, -9, -7, -6, and so on. The last couple of days have gone more positive though, +9, +9, +1. So the SOI is still overall positive. It's still reflective of La Nina. The atmospheric state is still reflective of La Nina, but it has just backed away from the positivity that we had like a week or 10 days ago. Right, I just want to talk you through sea surface temperature anomalies in the Atlantic back to 1985. Let's go through the archive once again. We did this in an earlier winter update. I think it's possibly the second or the third. I can't quite remember when we did it. Back in September, and the leading year then, I think, kind of a couple of leading years then, came out as 2017 and 2012, I think, were the leading years back in September. We now come to the end of October, and I just wanted to go through this again and have a look at the change. So remember, we're focusing on this area. Try and ignore all of that area. Try to ignore the Pacific and the Indian Ocean. We are focusing on the North Atlantic from there up to there if you possibly can. That's how things look for 23rd of October 2020. Let's have a look then at 2019. So how do we compare with 2019? I think we have a warmer Atlantic Ocean this year compared to 2019. I think the Atlantic is warmer this year compared to 2019 at this point. That's 2018, quite clearly no comparison. The Atlantic is much warmer this year, especially to south of Greenland and in the tropics compared to 2018. That's 2017. What do you think about 2017? This is quite a close match back in September, but I think now we're pulled away from 2017 a little bit. I think the Atlantic is generally warmer through most regions this year compared to 2017. That's 2016. Obviously, we're a lot warmer with the Atlantic this year compared to 2016. That's 2015. No comparison at all. That's 2014. Again, we're much warmer with the North Atlantic, particularly that area like Newfoundland towards Greenland. Much warmer with the North Atlantic this year compared to 2014. That's 2013. What do you think about that? That's a little bit close, but I think generally, again, the Atlantic is warmer this year compared to 2013. That's 2012. Now, what do you think about 2012? I think that's not too bad. That's a little bit better, I think, for 2012. So it's warmer up here, and it's pretty warm through the tropics. It's cooler through here. You can see a bit of a tripole beginning to emerge at this point, 2012. That's one thing that happened through the autumn of 2012. A little bit of a tripole started to get going, and of course that was impactful as we went through into the winter. It's an unexpected tripole as well. We didn't expect it, but I think that's a slightly closer match. So I think we're still reasonably close to 2012, but we have departed from 2017. That's 2011, no comparison to that. That's 2010. What do you think about 2010? 23rd of October 2010, just before the December to remember. Again, you can see the tripole, can't you? You can see the warm seaside temperature there, warm there, cooler through here. I think the Atlantic this year is cooler compared to 2010, especially to the south of Greenland. 2009, again, no real comparison. That's 2008. Again, I don't think there's much of a comparison. 2008, that's 2007. Again, I don't think there's any real comparison to 2007. We're going to carry on going back. That's 2006. Again, no real comparison. 2006. Let's go back to that. So no, I don't think there's much. It's a little bit closer. So it is warmer to the south of Greenland. It's cooler through there, and it's warmer through there. So that's one of the closer years. But I think 2012 is better. That's 2005. What do you think about 2005? Yes, I suppose there's a little bit of a comparison to 2005, but I think, yeah, a little bit of comparison to that one. 2004, what do you think about that? Again, possibly a bit of a comparison to that one. 2003, so again, maybe, yes, but I think 2012 is still the best out of those. No comparison to 2002, no comparison to 2001 or to 2000. Look how cool the tropical Atlantic was in October 2000. No comparison to 1999. That's 1998. Again, it's much warmer this year in the tropics compared to this point in 98. That's 97. October 1997. Again, no real comparison this year to 1997. That's 1996. Again, no comparison with that one. That's 1995. Again, no real comparison this year to October 1995. That is 1994. That's 1993. Notice how cold the Atlantic is getting further back we go. We're moving into cold AMO era, and of course this is around Mount Pinatubo eruption time as well. So the oceans generally look a lot colder here in the early 1990s. Go back into 1980s. That's 1989. Again, much colder with the Atlantic then. This is cold AMO period, 1987, 1986. Again, look how much colder the oceans are back in the 1980s, particularly the Atlantic, where we're back in the cold Atlantic multi-decadal oscillation. And that's as far back as we go to October 1985. And again, absolutely no comparison there. So I think like the most, the most relevant years are the more recent years, and I think particularly 2012 there comes out as a pretty close year. Let me know in the comments which years you think are the closest in terms of Atlantic sea surface temperature anomalies to 2020. I'm going to pause the video there, and when we come back, we're going to resume the rest of the 8th Winter 2020 update, Part 1. So go and get yourself a cup of tea, go get yourself some nibbles, and I'll see you back here in 2 seconds' time. Okay, we're back. And we're ready to resume the 8th Winter 2020 update, Part 1. If you've enjoyed this video so far, then please give us a like. Let us know in the comments what you think. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. So I'm going to carry on now with the 8th Winter 2021 update, Part 1. Let's do this, Ben. So the next thing we're going to look at is the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season. So big season, of course, and these are how the latest scores on the doors are looking for the 2020 hurricane season. So we have had 27, a phenomenal number, a total of 27 tropical depressions so far, with 26, again, absolutely phenomenal number, 26 tropical storms, 10 hurricanes, that is a big number as well, and 4 major Category 3 or above hurricanes. That's not quite as big yet, but it is like quite an active number, of course. 4 major hurricanes is significant, but it's really the number of tropical storms and depressions that is most phenomenal at 27 and 26. All of those are up 1 compared to last week. This is how ACE is looking. It's been updated by our good friend Schreier Brewer. So ACE, accumulated cyclone energy, is like the amount of energy that is being emitted by these storms and hurricanes. ACE goes all the way back to 1851, and the categories are sort of below normal, near normal, above average, and hyperactive. Let's come down. You think on the numbers, we've had a hyperactive season. Actually, the numbers are still pointing us towards above average. So this is how ACE is currently looking as of the 24th of October 2020. ACE currently stands at 133.80 after 26 tropical storms, 10 hurricanes, and 4 major category 3 or above hurricanes. That still keeps us in the above normal category, but not yet hyperactive. I think we'd need to go to around 150 probably to get to a hyperactive season, and we're not all that far from it. One more big hurricane could possibly send us hyperactive, who knows. We have now passed last year's hurricane season. 2019 had an ACE of 132.20, and 2018 had an ACE of 132.53. We are well behind 2017 though, which had an ACE and was hyperactive of 222.4. 2012 as well, we have just gone past 2012, which was another above normal season. We've gone past 2011 as well, and but we're under 2010 and 2016, so it's comparable with a lot of the seasons that we've had, this year. It's a big season. There's still time to go. The GFS, in particular, extended range model, is still playing around with the idea of more tropical storms and hurricanes. So maybe, you know, maybe we will end up hyperactive for this hurricane season in the end. QBI, I won't go into too much detail on this, but just to say, a big thanks to Schreier for updating the ACE chart for us. Just to say that the Westerly QBO goes on yet again. So yeah, we've got the Westerly QBO here within the troposphere. We look at this every week, so if you want an explanation about what this is showing, have a look at one of the other winter updates. So I'll go into it in more detail next week probably. But Westerly QBO goes on within the troposphere. The Easterly QBO continues to lurk within the stratosphere at 10 HPA at the top of the atmosphere in the strat. If we zoom in again, you can see that the Easterly QBO is there at the very top of the stratosphere, but is not able to move down into the troposphere because the Westerly QBO goes on through there. We wait to see whether the Easterly QBO will return. The longer this is going on, the more I'm thinking that this winter is going to be a Westerly QBO, probably a weak Westerly QBO. We shall see. Temperatures at 10 HPA over the North Pole. Again, missing the stratosphere over North Pole are looking like that. So, you remember last week, we did see quite a significant drop in the temperature at 10 HPA. We have arrested that now. The grey line is a trend line. The black line shows the current temperature at 10 HPA in the stratosphere over the North Pole. And so it's a little bit colder than average. Temperature at 10 HPA is a little bit colder than average, but it has stopped dropping for the time being. It's not particularly, you know, it's not particularly cold. It's not continuing to drop. But 30 HPA is a little bit lower and down towards the troposphere. Again, we're very close to long-term averages. Remember, when the stratospheric temperature goes cold over North Pole, that will start to drive the polar vortex. The polar vortex is depicted through zonal winds. This is from weatheriscool.com. And so with this, the black line here is like the trend line. So at this time of year, as temperatures are getting colder, so the zonal winds should be getting stronger. Actually, the zonal wind is a little bit weaker than average at the moment, indicated by that blue line just there. However, the zonal wind is going to be powering up look at this. In the next couple of weeks, those green lines are the GFS ensembles. And they're taking the zone of wind perhaps to near record levels sometime at the beginning of November. That's November, of course, just there. That's December, just there. That is January. That's February, and so on. This box here is October. So for the beginning of November, zone of winds could be reaching near record levels, which is not something that particularly that you want to see if you want a cold and average winter. When the zone of wind goes very strong, that's like the engine, if you like, that is driving zonality. Let's put in the CFS V2. So CFS V2 is indicating that zone of wind should weaken through November. Again, this is November just here, this December. So these blue lines are the 4 individual CFS V2 runs. Most of those are weakening off as we go through November and into December. However, there could be a bias at work within the CFS V2 to have weaker zone of winds than is actually the reality. So if we put in the bias corrected, it looks like that. Again, even with the bias corrected, though, still generally quite weak zone of winds, actually, for November and for December. As we get through to January, we have a couple of the ensemble members with bias corrected taking off to record levels, or near record levels anyway. But that's a very long way out. November, December look like the zone of winds are probably weakening a little bit from early November through the rest of November. Arctic Oscillation observed and forecast is moving into positive territory. This is all telling us, though, that like for the start of November, definitely the polar vortex and westerlies are powering up. So the AO is just an index that's reflecting the absolute state when the Arctic Oscillation is negative. Then you're going to have blocking, high pressure over pole. When the Arctic Oscillation is positive, you're going to have low pressure over pole. So you can see that the AO is already positive and is going to stay positive really through to the early part of November. That tells us that the polar vortex is going to be in business along with strengthening of the zone westerlies. So that powers the polar vortex, and that's the reason the AO is going to be positive over the next 2 weeks. The Arctic Oscillation will be in its positive phase, and the NAO, North Atlantic Oscillation, is also going positive as well. At the moment, it's around neutral. As we go through into early November, again, the NAO is powering up into positive phase. So both the indexes, the AO, the NAO, are going to be positive, along with a very strong zone of wind and temperature at 10 HPA in the stratosphere over North Pole, a little bit colder average. It all tells us that westerlies are powering up. And if I just throw this in, a few people have asked me about this, to have a look at this. So, the refreeze, you remember we looked at this earlier in winter updates when we reached our minimum for Arctic sea ice extent. We actually, the minimum for Arctic sea ice extent for this season was the second biggest minimum on record, but not quite reaching 2012, which is that red dash line. However, refreeze is very, very slow this year. And actually at the moment, it's under, the Arctic sea ice extent is under 2012, so a very, very slow refreeze, kind of comparable to last year. Something similar happened last year, but we're actually under 2019, so a very, very slow refreeze. I don't know if that affects anything for the winter, but it is a little bit concerning, of course. Right, I'm going to pause the video again, and then when we come back, we're going to have a look at Eurasian snow cover. I'll bring you up to date with how Eurasian snow cover is currently looking, and then we're going to go through the archives, not only back to 1998, we'll go all the way back to 1967 for Eurasian snow cover in around 2 seconds' time. So, I'll see you soon. Okay, we're back, and we're ready to resume the 8th Winter 2020-21 Update Part 1. This will be the final part of this update. If you enjoyed the 8th Winter 2020-21 Update Part 1, then please give us a like on the video. Let us know in the comments what you think about this update. There's been a lot to talk about, a lot of talking points that I've been placing in through the video. So please let me know in the comments what you think. And make sure you're subscribed to the channel. It's absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. So the rest of this 8th winter update is going to be devoted to Eurasian snow cover, both today and tomorrow. More about that in a moment. But the rest of this 8th winter 2021 update becomes a Eurasian snow cover special. So this is how Eurasian snow cover was looking when we did the part 2 of the 7th winter update. Remember, I started with this chart for part 2 of the 7th Winter 2020 update. We saw a big expansion of snow cover from the 16th to the 17th of October. That's how it looked last week. Let's have a look at the latest. Here it is. That's the latest as of Friday, the 23rd of October. And it looks like that. I'll probably show you the chart for Saturday, 24th of October, at the beginning of tomorrow's 8th Winter Update Part 2, by the way. But that's how it looks. Again, there's been a massive expansion of snow cover over the past week, and now most parts of Siberia, central Russia, are covered. The snow line is moving towards western parts of Russia. And also, very interestingly, much of Scandinavia is covered with snow as well. So there has been an expansion of snow through many parts of Scandinavia and northeastern Europe as well over the past week. That is a big change from last week to this week. How does that compare with recent years? This is 2019. So we have more snow cover both Scandinavia and Russia this year compared to 2019. That's 2018. There's no comparison this year to 2018. Please let me know in the comments which year you think is closest, by the way. Which years you think are closest to this year. That's 2017. So we have got more snow cover for Russia and also for Scandinavia this year compared to 2017. That is 2016. Again, more snow cover this year compared to 2016. That's 2015. Again, more snow cover this year across both Russia and Scandinavia compared to 2015. That's 2014. What do you think about that? So we are a little bit behind 2014 for Russian snow cover. I think we're ahead, though, for Scandinavian snow cover. That's 2013. What do you think about that? We're very close to 2013 for Russian snow cover and ahead of 2013 for Scandinavian snow cover. That is 2012. We are ahead of 2012 for Russian snow cover and possibly ahead, definitely ahead for Scandinavian snow cover. That's 2011. We're well ahead of 2011 for both Russian and Scandinavian snow cover. That's 2010. We are well ahead of 2010 for both Russian and Scandinavian snow cover as well at this point in October. That's 2009. So we're probably quite closely matched to 2009. Maybe a little bit ahead Scandinavian snow cover and well ahead for Russian snow cover. That's 2008. Really no comparison at all. This year 2008. That's 2007. Again, no comparison this year 2007. That's 2006. I think we're ahead both Russian and definitely for Scandinavian snow cover this year 2006. That's 2005. Again, well ahead of 2005 this year both Russian and Scandinavian snow cover. 2004. We're well ahead of 2004 as well for Russian and Scandinavian snow cover. 2003. Well ahead of 2003 for Russian and Scandinavian snow cover at this point in October. That is 2002. So we are probably a little bit behind 2002 for Russian snow cover and ahead, though, I think, for Scandinavian snow cover. 2001, we are probably quite close for Russian snow cover and ahead for Scandinavian snow cover. 2000, we are ahead for both Russian and also Scandinavian snow cover. 2000 and 1999, again ahead for both Russian and Scandinavian snow cover to 99. And then 1998, we are ahead of 1998, both Russian and Scandinavian snow cover. Basically, we're doing better than all years, I think, for Scandinavian snow cover. And other than 2014, maybe 2002, we're doing better than all other years for Russian snow cover as well. So this has been a very big increase in snow cover. We can go even further back than 1998, though. So this is at Rutgers Snow Lab. I'm going to rattle through these very quickly. Now, you've got to tilt your head around with this. So either turn your monitor or your device on the side, or maybe stand on your head or something. And I'll rattle through this very quick. That's 1997. This year to 1997, we're ahead of 1997 for Russian and Scandinavian snow cover. That's 1996. Let's rattle through these quickly. So I think we're ahead of 96 for Russian and Scandinavian snow cover. That's 1995. So probably quite close to 1995 for Scandinavian snow cover. at this point in October, and probably quite close to Russian snow cover, actually. So I think we're quite close to 95 there. 94, we're ahead of 1994 for Russian and Scandinavian snow cover. 1993, we are behind 93 for Russian snow cover, I think, and probably ahead for Scandinavian snow cover. That's 1992, ahead of 92 for both Scandinavian and Russian snow cover this year, and ahead of 1991 as well, and ahead of 1990 most definitely, and I think ahead of 1989 also. Again, it's a different kind of view, but I think we are ahead of those years. 98, we're well ahead. Look how little snow we got at this point in 1988 across Russia. So we're well ahead of that, aren't we? And then we go through to 1987, and again we are ahead of 1987 Scandinavian and Russian snow cover. 1986, ahead of 1986 for Russian and Scandinavian snow cover. 1985, again we are ahead of 1985 quite clearly. 1984, we're ahead of 1984 also. So even going back into the 80s, we're doing really well with Scandinavian and also Russian snow cover. That is 1983, well ahead of 1983. That's 1982. We're probably a little bit behind 1982 for Russian snow cover, but maybe ahead for Scandinavian snow cover or quite close. That's 1981. We're ahead of 1981 for Russian snow cover and ahead for Scandinavian snow cover. That's 1980, clearly ahead of 1980. Wow, no comparison. That's 1979. Again, no real comparison. That's 1978. We're probably quite close to 1978. That's something that came up like when we did this a couple of weeks ago, and a few people pointed out that we were quite close to 1978 then. I think we're probably still really quite close to 1978 for both Russian and also for Scandinavian snow cover. We could be quite close to 1978. That's 1977. Probably quite close to that one as well. That's 1976. That's the most rapid advance of snow cover across Russia on record, and so we are behind 76 for both Russian and also for Scandinavian snow cover. We're ahead of 1975, we're ahead of 1974 for Russian snow cover, not so for Scandinavian snow cover. We're probably a bit behind 1973, we're well behind 1973, I think. We're behind 1972 as well, probably. We're also probably behind 1971. We're ahead of 1970. We're ahead of, so we can't show 1969. That's 1968. We're probably behind 1968 for Russian and Scandinavian snow cover there. And last of all, 1967. We're ahead of 1967 for Scandinavian snow cover and probably quite close for Russian snow cover. Wow, we went through those very quickly, didn't we? Please let me know in the comments which years you think are closest to this year. I think 1978 looked quite close, I have to say, but let me know in the comments which years you think are closest to 2020. Now tomorrow we're going to show you, and we're going to again use this data from Rutgers Snow Lab, so we can see Eurasian snow cover in this column just here by a month sort of basis, anomaly, if you like. And so tomorrow we are going to show you the winters following the top 20 snowiest Octobers. We're going to show you winters following the top 20 snowiest Octobers back to 1967. As we've already established, number one is 1976, but you will see what winters are like following the top 20 snowiest Octobers on record back to 1967 for our analogues tomorrow in part 2 of the 8th Winter 2020-21 update. Lastly, just say that if you enjoyed this video, then please can you click like, let us know in the comments what you think. Make sure you tell your friends about GavsWeatherVids and subscribe to the channel as well. It'd be absolutely fantastic if you can do that. Right, so that's it. I've gone through all of that in 47 minutes. I hope you enjoyed it. That is unique content. You will not see that kind of content anywhere else on YouTube, and I hope you've enjoyed part 1 of the 8th Winter 2020 update. This video will be placed on the Winter Updates page with a written summary going over everything that we discussed in video. I'm going to get that up for you. I'm going to get that up for you hopefully tonight, if not tonight, tomorrow morning. We've got more updates to come, and we're going to be live streaming from 6 o'clock this evening. No doubt we'll be discussing this winter update. I'm sure we will, and it's going to be absolutely fantastic. We'll show some winter data in that live stream from 6 o'clock. Tomorrow from 6 PM we'll have part 2 of the 8th Winter 2020 update, and that focus on those analogues for winters following the top 20 snowiest Octobers for Eurasia on record. Okay, at 48 minutes, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.